My name is Penelope Chatterton. Welcome to Waken the Dream. My friends, I have someone I have to talk about before I get to Joel Goldsmith, and her name is Margaret Huntley. She was my director for years in the other studio, and she's very missed by her crew, so I just wanted to make sure Margaret knows we're thinking of her. She's probably listening, knowing Margaret. Pam was involved, and Ruth, and we had Eric, and we had Ray, and we had John, and we had so many folks that worked with her and miss her. So Margaret, this show is for you, and thank you for all you did for us. You're deeply missed. Today I am going to do a book report on Man Was Not Meant to Cry by Joel Goldsmith, who was the founder of a movement called the Infinite Way. He is a mystic, a 20th century mystic. He was an awesome, awesome person. He was a businessman for 35 years. He became a Christian Scientist. He became a Christian Science practitioner. He was a healer, but he was kind of determined to create a movement that was not organized. And the reason he wanted to do that was he felt anything that was organized spiritually separated people, because he felt there was one God, there was one Son, and that we are all connected in consciousness. So if you set up a religion or something that says we are separate because we believe this and we're not like you, Joel just felt that things could get a little shaky under those circumstances. So the Infinite Way movement has a lot to do with folks 2 and 3 getting together. He loved his students. He worked so hard with them. That's what his passion was. He's written over 40 books. I understand over 1,200 taped hours can be heard by Joel himself. So on that note, if you looked up Joel Goldsmith and you were interested in any of his tapes or books, you could certainly find them. He was a mystic. Now, a mystic doesn't live here. A mystic is not in the human experience, or fights not to be. Man was not meant to cry. Joel was trying to say, if we cry, it's because we're aware that we're limited in this experience called the human life. And when that comes up, because we all do, it's just a reminder that we have forgotten who we are. We have thought we were self-fulfilled by ourselves. We depended on our education, all the earth plane stuff, the credentials, what's supposed to be important, and basically fear. Fear is huge in the human form, and therefore he felt we were prisoners to our own body and our own mind. So with that in mind, Joel, who was determined to find God, just prayed and meditated daily. He wrestled and wrestled. He just worked so hard. His intention was enormous. The human experience, he tells us, is where we are so aware of what we are mesmerized about in our human form. When we're born, we are told all kinds of stuff. Who we are, what we need to worry about, what we should attain, what's important, what isn't. And, not to any fault of our own, we just decided that we would believe it. We decided we'd choose this other way of thinking. So with that in mind, we separated ourselves from the eternity that we are. So eternal life is within us. Everyone has the planted Christ mind within their soul. And I like the fact that Joel says we have to notice that we have souls. And what is the soul? The soul is God within us. God is the soul. Individualized man comes with the soul of God. And God is only this pulsing, we can't even find a word to describe the kind of love. He's trying to say it's pulsating, it's enormous, it's so vast, it's beyond words, but it's melting into consciousness. It's waves, well, it takes you out of time if you've ever experienced an out-of-body time where you literally do know who you are. You never forget it. You might weep when you come back because the experience was so overwhelming. So here we are in human form with a body and with a mind, and Joel suggests that we're prisoners of our own mind and our own body, that we're locked into all of this conditioning, mesmerizing of the fear of the earth plane. So with that in mind, all spiritual practices and religions all know that God is love and is within all of us. That's kind of universal. We don't have to fight for that. Jesus knew it, Elijah, Moses, Mohammed, Nanak, Mary Baker Eddy, even a Raja Yoga program. There are so many ways that folks try to get to God. And today, in particular, Joel does warn us about one thing. Don't necessarily listen to your neighbor if your neighbor suggests that you've got to follow their path because it's so great for them. Your path you can find within yourself by realizing your connection to God. You will find your own special path, but know that you're the one who has to have the experience to find it. No one else can do it for you. You can read all kinds of inspirational books. You can listen to all kinds of tapes, and they're helpful. And there are teachers that help us on the path. But after they get you started, you're on your own. Bingo. So being on your own means simply you must learn to meditate. You must learn to be quiet. You must learn to be a very within person. And you have to die daily to all your own negativity. Everything that you have taken in, mesmerized, is within you, and your responsibility is the discipline of your own soul is to catch it. Because when you're being negative or not loving your neighbor as yourself, it does not feel good. And that is why the good news from Joel is, well, we'll all return home sooner than later. We come into this plane from different states, different stages of our development. Some are older souls than others. Some have been here many times. Some could be on their first trip. But what that suggests is you have to go within yourself because what you need will be given to you. That's a promise. So yes, there is this voice. There is this beautiful voice. And what I love about what Jesus said, which I hadn't read before, is that they were masters hundreds and thousands of years before he came to the earth plane, and they worked with him. And there were few secrets he could share with his disciples, and I think Joel mentioned only 3 really could understand this. But he definitely was in good company, and he knew he was not the only soul that came as a man. Jesus did not really want to be considered a king, a prince, somebody in the high up in the hierarchy to wear a crown. He was a man, yes, but when he spoke, he wanted people to hear the spirit that spoke through him. He would always say, I and my Father are one. He is speaking through me to you. He goes before me to make the crooked ways straight. He prepares mansions for me. He brings up the rear. He takes both my hands. He is there all the time. The trick that I want to share with you today is we have to experience this God energy. We have to realize, not just say it verbatim, just have your mind throwing out those affirmations. You have to relax and rest in the everlasting arms and feel it. So, there's something that can happen to you when you feel it. Joel calls it a click. You might just feel a little burden lifting. You might feel warm. You might just feel, all I can say is something happens where you feel the presence, and something that you were worried about is lifted from you because you are resting. That truth and that peace is within you constantly. It's always available. Now, Joel really worked hard on finding this, and that's why he wrote all this material for the Infinite Way students, because the job is enormous. I think we have to realize that slow growth is probably the best way to get there, and it can be joyous, but there can be terrible days of barrenness and suffering and feeling lonely and alone when you've actually just forgotten to plug yourself in and you've forgotten to say, I am that I am. And those are the most powerful words in Man Was Not Meant to Cry. All we have to know is I am. We don't have to give it a name. We just have to know the connection of the Father, and all of us being the Son are united. We're always together. So you can see when you're not thinking or dying daily to your own negativity or praying without ceasing. Who of us pray without ceasing? I'm trying. But it takes so much discipline. It takes really strong meditation. So meditate we must. And I feel like the taskmaster here today saying, yes, we have to get on deck, we have to think, we have to realize, we have to relax in those everlasting arms, and we have to be open, we have to be empty. And the only way to empty is to really take a look at what's within that's running your life. If it's thoughts of negativity or fear, you have to be barren so that God can fill you with what's really the truth of your being. It's kind of hard to imagine that here in the flesh we are eternal. We're in eternity right now in this body. We're there. It's just the way it is. And he's strong about it. As all the mystics say this. It's nothing new. He just, I think, was appreciative of how hard the work was. And because he was appreciative of that, he's trying to help us with one thing that I felt was new that I hadn't read before, and that was about privacy. When you're meditating quietly and you're hearing the guidance and you're getting your direction and you're feeling this wonderful pulsating glow, he warns us about sharing too much of that with anybody, unless they're people that you work with intimately, that are soul teachers and students with you. Because some of it can be pretty far out there, where you don't want to be judged for sounding like ridiculous, or that you don't know what you're talking about, or you should be locked up. Because some of the things that come to you are very personal. They're directed just to you. If you want to share them with someone you trust, that's fine. But that to me was one of the most amazing contributions I got from Joel Goldsmith, is that you have a soul that's relating. You have this God guidance. You're not depending on yourself. You're not depending on something you read. You're not depending on what you saw in the newspaper. You're not depending on your education. And he even mentions the most educated can have the hardest time with this, because we need to be innocent children, open vessels, ready to receive whatever comes. And sometimes people who actually go too fast can be overwhelmed and frightened by what they feel and see, because the light can be sometimes too bright. Most of us, however, do trudge along and work day to day, dying daily, praying without ceasing, loving our neighbor as ourselves. Now that's a huge one. That can be hard. We have friends in our lives, we have people in our lives that annoy us, that we really don't feel like loving like ourselves, but this is the problem that we have. We have to do that anyway. As Louise Hay says, you don't have to have lunch with them, but you have to see the Christ mind within these folks. You have got to see that. If they don't know about it, if they're in the dark, if they're dense, that can't matter. You have to give them that gift of your vision for who they are. Believe it or not, they will pick up on that. So, every soul in the universe is connected to God, to themselves as the sonship. None of us are separated, and we all have an individual destiny. Now, we all have a mission. When we're born, Joel says in Man Was Not Meant to Cry, even our lifespan has been plopped in our lap. He knows. He's put us here to fulfill a mission. And what it is, as I say, don't ask your neighbor what he's got or she's got. Go within yourself and see what really excites you. What makes life an adventure? Because if you just had 3 meals a day and you went to bed at night and got up and repeated the same old routines every day, that wouldn't be an adventure. I think we're meant to have some fun here. I think we're supposed to get excited and share and share. Let me talk about sharing. With all this love within us, if we don't give it away, then it won't come back. We have got to share, share, share. Joel suggests that we can actually be zombies. We can be dead if we just do rote things. If we're being negative, we're really dying all the time unless we light up the world with our giving and our sharing. If you went into church to find God, he mentioned this example. This man was miserable. He couldn't quite find God. And then he said, why don't you take God to the church and see what you can contribute to everybody there? What kind of love are you giving so that you feel full, so that church has some meaning for you? Well, it took a few tries, but the man came back and saying, now I get it. It's our sharing that is critical. The gift becomes alive as we share it. I've had many guests on this Awaken the Dream show that know that. You just have to give your love away. And if it doesn't come back from someone, you will see them silently with who they are. You want to work with people, too, that want to share this gift, that maybe want to join in little groups, that want to reach the other dimensions that Jesus did. And why not? There are souls waiting, just waiting for folks who are awake in the dream to contact and work with and guide us and close time. Now, he also mentions in this wonderful book about what civilization means. So he says we're not civilized. This is not a civilization if civilization means brotherhood. Are we loving one another? Now, what kind of a world are we in? We've got war, we've got poverty, we've got abuse. You name it, this is the universe which needs some changing. So we're not civilized yet, but we will be, because also at this time, in this day and age, in 2013, we have light workers. We have programs that are so vast and so creative about healing. It's critical to find your path. So yes, we all have a mission, and that mission is given to us if we accept the grace that's waiting for us. Now, that means you die daily to your own negativity, you plug in, you say I am, if you have to say it all day long, I am that I am. I and my Father are one. As you keep working on the intensity of your staying in the Word, loving your God with all your heart, your soul, and your might, you will receive the grace that's within. That's the gift that's waiting for you, and you will know it when you get it. Because this is what the work gives you. We live under the grace of our mission here. We've been given life. We are, frankly, a service to God. All of us are here to be a service to God. He does mention we're in a parenthesis, which means we're here in this lifetime to do a work. We can come in at all stages and states, as I mentioned, but that work is built in. We have to now get ready to get it. So I highly recommend you read this man. He's, I don't know, I just cannot tell you what he's meant to me. I'm going to do a dedication page on my website. He's changed my life. He's also been honest with me. And that honesty is that, yes, he's had barren days, and there are lonely days, and Jesus, for 3 years of his ministry, was very lonely. There were a lot of stuff that people did not want to hear from him because they couldn't understand where he was coming from, and a lot of it he tried, but there was a loneliness to his ministry, and there can be a loneliness for a lot of us in our ministries if we have to be protecting our gift. So the best thing we can do to serve God and be that service is to find our niche. So I think Joel is my niche for Awaken the Dream. I think I have found something where, yes, he is the author and the founder of a movement, but I love to rant and rave about him because I'm so appreciative. I'm so grateful that he came into my life like a book in the library hitting me on the head. I think he fell into my hands because I was guided to go there. And I'm not too sure Joel isn't working with me. We have a similar age where he came into my life when he was just going at that particular stage, so I'm just sort of catching the ball and saying, Joel, if you want to use me, you were a mystic. Think of all the mystics that we've had. I love to think of Mary Baker Eddy because she certainly was a trailblazer as a woman. And you know, my dad was a Christian Scientist and my grandparents were practitioners, and you know, there's a lot of stuff when I was a kid that sort of made me realize why Joel said protect yourself, because a lot of the stuff my father would say would be like, oh, please, spare me. You know, but I didn't realize how right he was because I wasn't ready. So we're all at these stages, so we're getting ready. But the big thing I want to say today is stay on it, be disciplined, stay in the Word. Stay in the Word of who you really are. Just stay with it. You'll feel it. And you know what also happens? It automatically starts to take over. That's a great idea. The work you do becomes permanent growth. And you're always in a stage of growing and changing. And you'll find the crooked ways are made straight, mansions are prepared for you, and you'll have one darn miracle after another. And you will chuckle at some of them. You will absolutely find them astounding. They're, in our mundane world, they are real. And that's because you are staying in the Word. So, my friends, we're on the path. Some people call it the path. Someone wants to call it anything, a spiritual science. We don't want we don't want to pray for the human stuff. We don't want to think for 1 minute that a new car, a better relationship, money, those things we're mesmerized by those things being the important things in this world. This is what we're supposed to be getting. Now, on a spiritual journey, things do get better. We get healthier, lots of things do happen, but we want the Spirit to be talking to us. And we don't go to God asking for anything. Let me talk about this. To think that God needs us He is not our servant. We don't go and say, hey, I got this problem and I want you to fix it, thank you very much. He is not our servant. He knows what we need more than we know. Yeah, we have to just realize his presence. Don't go to him for anything specific. Ask only to be his servant, only ask to hear his voice, only ask to be realized in his presence. It's a feeling, it's a click, it's a realization. It's so simple. We try too hard, and I think that's why Joel said the more educated you are, the harder this can be, because you got all this stuff to play with and ideas and yeah, God is not the servant. We just need to be that simple. And when Jesus spoke, it was not the man speaking. His Father was speaking through him. He tried to tell his disciples, you are not hearing me. You are hearing the Father that sent me. I want you to learn this. I want to teach you this so you can find this too. His assignment in his crucifixion was all part of the plan. He was able to resurrect. He was able to prove that he was eternal, his most important, precious gift. We never had a beginning. We never had an ending. We only have this eternal life within us at all times. We are just going to pulsate with this energy, this wave of beautiful stuff, and we'll touch on it here and there, and the miracles will keep backing us up, and that's why you can get hooked on this work. So, my friends, it's worth the effort to stay in the Word, to walk daily, and you'll notice when you get hooked on being with the Word, when you're not, you'll say, darn, it's been an hour and I haven't thought about who I was. It can be frustrating. It's just a very interesting trip. But I tell you, once you see the miracles, and you'll notice miracles happening just all day. I suggest too, you start your day, you end your day, every chance you get. A clock strikes the hour. Be reminded, who are you? What are you? You're not a human being. You're not this body. You're not this mind. You are the soul of God. You are a soul, an individualized God walking around with a name, with looking like somebody, but you're here on a mission. And the world is feeling this big time. And that makes me proud of Awaken the Dream television, because, oh my gosh, I've had hundreds of people here, all with a very special talent that was given to them because they got the grace from God. They decided to meditate. They decided to take responsibility for their soul's growth, to realize who they were, and then out of the blue, something wonderful that only they had that was very creative and special. That form has come to Awaken the Dream. They have their own workshops. They have their websites. And we're getting there, but there's a lot of work to be done. So we all have to unite. And we all have to share this information so that we can get everybody excited about it. And to have less fear in your life, to have less terror, to realize that you can keep your head above the fray of your own animality, really, the animal nature, the human nature, the greed that we all think about. We can rise above all of that into consciousness, which will be waiting for us, and the grace of God will be our great gift. And then our responsibility is to share it. We have got to go give it away somehow, somewhere. And so I'm trying to do that here because it makes me feel good to share the words of things I'm working on. I am not home yet. I touch on eternity. I touch on the grace. I touch on the realized nature. But I'm here and I've got work to do and I'm on a path. And Joel is holding my hand, as is Jesus, as Moses, as the Brahmins, the Hebrews. All cultures have had mystics. Mysticism has been in every culture. It was not new to Jesus coming here to tell us about it. It's been here a long time. Souls have discovered who they are, and they have had a voice, they've had guidance, and it is so nice not to feel alone. When you get a head slap and something hits you that you have to either remember, or something beautiful comes through you, or someone that you miss, like we miss Margaret. And I loved bringing her up today as a dedication to her, because she was a very fun spirit and she was a great director. And I don't know, she's missed. Margaret, I hope you're getting that. You are missed, but you're here, and you always used to talk about awake. And funny, in the first chapter of Man Was Not Meant to Cry, the first chapter says awake. And I felt that was meant for me to share. And I love sharing what Joel has given to me, because I'm on a path. I need the Infinite Way information. I've needed A Course in Miracles. I've needed Christian Science. I've needed every form that I could get my hands on. Since I was a little kid, I have been on this search. And I'm sort of settling in right now with Awake in the Dream. And every now and then when a space opens up for me to share a monologue, I'm very blessed to do it, and I'm very grateful that you're listening to me, because I can fumble through some of these and get tongue-tied, but I just have to sacrifice my sometimes sloppiness and just know that what I'm saying means everything to me, and I hope something to you, or a lot to you. And I have 1 minute to go, so I'm going to finish right here on camera 2. And thank you all for joining me. Thank you, Joel Goldsmith. Thank you, Margaret in spirit. Thank you to my wonderful crew, Jamie and Pam and Ruth and George, who swept in. That crooked way was made straight with George, and for helping me to speak to you on Awake in the Dream. And I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thank you.